I have a gig I have to get ready for and go to in a few hours, but in the meantime I was going through Facebook and this popped up in my news feed. It's the setup I was using in 2013. I thought it would be interesting to have a look at it, to see where we've been, and look at what I'm using now to see where I've gone, why I'm using what I use now, why I built this in the first place, what it's made up of, and what I think of it aesthetically. So first let's talk about what it is. It's a 6-foot banquet table. I'm looking at the picture right now. Scrimmed with a Scrim King table scrim for a 6-foot table, black one. On top of it, I've got a Marathon mixer case with a Pioneer DJM 850 in it. The Marathon case has this flip-up laptop stand. So you don't have to set up a separate laptop stand. You can flip this thing up and put your laptop on it. Just makes for a quicker setup. And sitting next to it is the lid for that Marathon case that I've got a microphone gooseneck grommet built into. So I can just take the lid off, put it next to the case, screw a microphone gooseneck into it, and stick the gooseneck on it. Something I need being one-handed. I can't mix and talk on the mic at the same time if I'm holding a microphone. So that's helpful. I've got the glow totems. They are, I think, the 2-meter glow totems. It's 4 pipes per totem. I think it's a 20-inch aluminum base plate and whatever it is, a 12-inch top plate with a set of moving heads on it. I'm not sure what they are. And it has probably Scrim King, what do they call them, totem covers or truss socks or whatever on it. I'm not sure. I think they're the Scrim King ones. They look nice. And I've got them kind of bunched up. I thought that was an interesting look. And they've got lights that are shining up. I came up with that idea for glow totems probably that year or the year before. And I know some of you are thinking, you came up with glow totem? Yeah, I did. The name, the concepts, all that. You're welcome. Stuff happens. That's a story for another day. Next to that, we have some Frankensteins, which are a great product. What's nice about those is they have like a shock in them, so you put your speaker on it, and you undo it, and it lifts up, so you don't have to push a speaker way up in the air. As a disabled guy, that was the only way to get a speaker in the air safely. That's a great product. On top of those stands, we've got RCF 408As. Yeah, an 8-inch woofer, but they're pretty wicked. I mean, that horn throws, and it sounds great. In fact, that whole system sounded great. And you may say 8-inch. I don't think so. Well, that was just for mid-bass. Underneath the table, there was the, I think it's an Electro Voice ZLX, what is it called? A ZLX 12 or something like that? I don't remember. But it's a 12-inch woofer. It's a small 12-inch woofer. It was relatively budget. I think they still have them. It provided the sub bass, and it has 100 hertz low pass filter on it with a 100 hertz high pass filter out, which is what went in to those 408s. So the 408s weren't taking any of the low frequency bass, just the stuff 100 hertz and above, and the system really, even to today's standards, sounds fantastic. It's a great system. I wouldn't be ashamed to run that system today, and I don't think most of you would either. You have to hear it to believe it. I built it to accommodate me and my disability, but turns out the thing is actually quite functional and powerful, and probably one of the nicest systems I ever built. And there's tripod scrims on there. Again, Scrim King stuff. The lights, some of them plug in, some of them are battery powered. It's ADJ stuff, and there's some kind of small DMX controller there to control sound, active, flashy for the things that are indeed hooked up to it, which I believe might only be what's in those totems. The rest of the lights, I think they were just static. So, aesthetically, I think it still looks pretty good. You could argue that you don't like Scrim. You could argue that you don't like the colors. And you could also very legitimately argue that you can see things on my table. It would have looked a lot nicer if I would have put some kind of topper on the table to cover that, but that was just something that was cumbersome. I thought it looked relatively neat. It was actually on my website, which I need to have redone. I didn't think it looked terrible. Couldn't hide anything back there, but that's okay. So, to today's standards, back to what we've got now. How would that work for me? A big problem would be the table, the 6-foot banquet table. Because I've discovered after going with the Pro Event table at 35 inches high that I was really bending over quite a bit to access anything on my table. Just a slight bend, and that slight bend really took a toll on the muscles in my back and fatigued me quite a bit. So I don't like using those banquet tables anymore. They're too low for what we do. And the other thing is, that marathon case with the flip-up laptop stand, it was a great idea, but that's even more bending over. I'm bending over to reach the height of the table, and I'm bending way over to access the laptop to type anything. Today, it's very different. The table height is higher, so I don't have to bend over for the mixer at all, and the laptop is kind of over the back of the mixer, the way I've got it set up. It's much easier on my back, and I'm less fatigued at events. And I really do think the Pro Event table goes up faster than a collapsible 6-foot banquet scrimmed for a guy like me anyway. I can get the Pro Event table up much faster. Totems. That's still a great look if you're using moving heads, but I'm not using moving heads anymore simply because it's just a lot to mess around with, especially since I'm using the Ape Light stuff. And the reason I like it so well is because not only is it battery powered, but I don't have to DMX anything. It's got a remote control that's RF. I don't have to point and shoot it. It just kind of hits the whole room. 100-foot, I believe, range on that line of sight. So I can just set up lights around the room and use a remote to make them chase, fade, strobe, whatever I want them to do. It's much easier than trying to DMX anything, even wireless DMX. It's easier for me. So I prefer it. There's nothing wrong with DMX. Some of you love DMX. I just don't want to have to mess with it. Easy up, easy down is what I'm looking for. The Frankenstands. Again, if you are trying to get a speaker in the air, this is a great product to go with. Get it up safe. It's a sturdy stand. Did scrim it to make it look nicer. Didn't have to, but I thought it looked nice that way. Now I'm using the column arrays. They go together real quick. You don't have to scrim anything. It's just kind of there. So I don't have to scrim anything. I don't have to get a speaker in the air, so I don't have to carry tripods. So I've got like two small, what would look like woofers on each side, and then a column that goes up, and I'm using the EV stuff, so there's no wire to hook up between the top and the bottom. It's all kind of interconnected, and in the column itself, there's magnetic connections. There's something that allow the power to get up there, and everything works fine. So I prefer what I'm using now. Does it look better? Well, that's subjective. I think it looks fine. I think what I'm using now looks really nice. This had a lot of personality, though. I'll say that. This had some personality to it. I like the look. I don't like it enough to do it again. You know, being a person in my situation, again, I'm trying to do the easiest thing I can that is presentable. And I think what I'm doing now, I know what I'm doing now is taking me half the time to load in and set up. Less than half the time. The table, no way. No way would I use that table again. But everything else, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it worked great. I think it looks nice. So that's how I feel about the old setup. That's why I'm not using it anymore. Because of the new setup. It's just easier. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments section. That's it. Quick video. I've got to edit this, get it posted, and then I probably should think about getting cleaned up and get out of here for my event tonight. Take care. We'll see you soon. Practice and enjoy.